I'm just trying to live my dream.
I'm in it to win it.
Ready to line you up.
Welcome to South San Francisco, Bay Area, California. Here at the Bay Area Hair Institute, 3 young men are given the chance of a lifetime to battle for a full scholarship to attend Barber College. Let's meet the contestants to find out which one has what it takes to make the cut.
My name is Paul Gannon, 18 years old. I managed to be able to save a little bit of money from birthdays or whatever I could to buy some nice professional clippers. And when I did, I was like a whole other world. That was when I started getting better, I started getting my touch, my haircut started coming out more presentable, and I had 20 people waiting in line in my backyard. And my dad came downstairs and said, "What are all these kids doing in my backyard?" And they're like, "We're getting haircuts." She's like, "No way, from my son?" And he sees me cutting hair, sweating in the middle of the day. He goes, "Are you cutting all these kids?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "It's not a party." I'm like, "No, we're all getting haircuts." He goes, "Whoa." He goes, "Then when am I next?" Well, my dad's father died at a very young age. And he came to this country in the 60s at about 13 years old, and he was supporting his 4 little brothers. Even through all of what he went through, he still managed to teach himself the language and adapt to the lifestyle of the United States and prove everybody wrong that doubted him. And that's very inspiring. The guys I'm going against are actually really talented. You know, I've seen a little bit of their work. They definitely got their game tight. So it's a little intimidating, I guess, but you know what? I just told myself, don't be nervous, give it your best, and hey, hopefully I make the cut.
I'm Anthony O'Hara, I'm 18. I started cutting hair when I was 13. My dad, he passed away when I was in middle school. So I didn't really have a father figure, so I turned to cutting hair. But as soon as I turned to cutting hair, it led me in a good direction. Say I have a bad day, you know what I mean? Or I can put all that aside and go in the garage and just start cutting hair. It started from cutting 5. After a while going into high school, started spreading. I'm hella nervous. I'm gonna be real with you guys, I'm hella nervous. Growing up from a single mother, you know what I mean? You can't ask for much as a kid. And for her to do 2 jobs, she showed me basically how to, if you want something, if you want to work for, I mean, if you want something so bad, you got to work for it. It takes hard work to actually get what you want. Put your heart into your art.
My name is Daniel Porter, 26 years old. I used to go get my haircut for $15 every other week. I couldn't come up with $15 every other week, so I was like, you know what? Let me cut my own hair. I've always had that mindset. I always wanted to do things on my own and, you know, earn my own income, not really have a boss, but be my own boss. It was football and cutting hair for the longest. And then I went to college. I went to CSM, and I got a scholarship from there to play at Kansas University. So I played in Kansas. I played football out there. My coach got fired, so I had to come back home and start all over again. But while I was over there, I was doing sports management. I liked it, but it doesn't compare to barbering. I mean, I just like seeing how people react after I cut their hair. When they come in and they might be sad or they might be thinking about something, the time that I have with them in the chairs is kind of therapeutic. I mean, I've been cutting hair for a long time, and I think I have a good chance of getting that scholarship. I really want that scholarship. My dad, he taught me, if you're gonna do something, do it 100%. Don't slack off, don't do it halfway, do it 100%, or don't do it at all. I would say the only person holding me back is me. I mean,
they will be judged by 3 prominent barbershop owners here in the Bay Area.
My name is Shane Nesbitt. I own the San Mateo Zoo Barbershop, and I own Shane's Barbershop and Shave Parlor, both in San Mateo.
My name is Derrick Pecson, also known as Deerock. I own Black and Gold Barber Lounge in Daly City, California.
My name is Vick, Damone, the owner of Thomas Barber's Barbershop in Morgan Hill, California.
I got into barbering when I was about 15 years old. I was locked up as a juvenile in Santa Clara. where I was transferred over to a boot camp, and one of my counselors, Mr. Martinez, he used to always cut our hair, and you know, something that I found interesting. So when I got out, you know, it was something that I felt like I wanted to do as a hobby and continue on during high school.
I was probably around 16. I started getting my hair cut every week by this older gentleman named Ray. And when I'd get cut, Ray used to always tell me, "Oh, you'd be a good barber, you'd be a good barber, you'd be a good barber." A few years had gone by, obviously. I opened my first business, which was a record store called Below the Surface. And I did that until about 2003. And the record industry kind of started to plummet. I closed the record store. Again, my barber at the time, Ray, told me, "Shane, I think you'd be a really good barber." I literally woke up one day, decided that I wanted to cut hair, and called the Barber College on a Friday, and I was starting on Tuesday.
I always started off cutting my own hair because at one time, you know, I didn't really have the money to get a haircut. So basically, you know, I'd get a haircut one week, and then the following week I didn't have the money to get a cut, so I basically tried to cut it myself. When I was about 22 years old, I enrolled in Barber College in San Francisco. At that time, I basically would cut hair at barber school all week and do my thing over there, and then I would take the train back home. It would take me approximately about an hour, 20 hour and 30 minutes every day there and back, and every day I'd be taking the train home thinking to myself, is all this worth it? And I knew that at that time that one day it was all gonna be worth it, you know, that it was gonna pay off all the time invested, all the hardships. You know, there was times when I didn't even have money to get on the bus, and I'd have to ask the Barber College owner, which is Dwayne Robinson, I'd have to ask him, you know, "Hey Dwayne, could I get, you know, $5 to get on the bus and then take the train, you know, whatever?" And he would shoot me the money. And that was a big help at that time too.
I was very, very broke, had virtually no money, whereas 2 years prior to that I was doing well for myself. It was a challenge, but I knew for sure, I didn't have any idea that I would be as busy as I am now, but I knew that I'd be able to pay my bills again eventually someday, and it kind of just pushed me through school. I went in with no idea how to cut hair, so I kind of just did the best I could. And initially I was the only white kid in the Barber College. I was the only white guy that Barber College had ever seen at that point, I think.
Being Filipino, and you know, my parents always telling me, you know, my cousins and everybody else going to, you know, becoming a doctor, a nurse, you know, a lawyer. Back then it was more, you need to be a nurse, you need to be a doctor. There's no money in barbering. It drove me a lot more too, because I had to prove them wrong. I would go to the Barber College from 8 to 4 and literally work from 8 to 4 and go straight to find my barbershop probably from like 5 to midnight. For 10 months straight, I knew long and hard-working hours would pay off one day, and it did. Just gaining my experience and, you know, servicing the community right and being consistent with my haircuts, you know, it helped me get to where I'm at now. And I'm a proprietor now of my own barbershop, Black and Gold Barber Lounge. It was a big turning point as far as me becoming my own proprietor when I knew I was gonna have my daughter. It was something that, you know, even though I knew for sure this was something I was gonna do for the rest of my life, I just had to take that next step.
It's taken me nearly 10 years, but I'm booked every day, and I'm never take it for granted. Take advantage of it, yes. Take it for granted, no. That's like the biggest challenge in this industry, to be the busiest, most booked barber. I'm married, I have a 3-year-old daughter, and I have a newborn. They make me work every day, work hard. As cliche as it sounds, it's like they're my everything.
When I first started, when I was in Barber College, I remember asking my mother, you know, "Are you proud of me, Mom, that I just, you know, that I basically just became a barber and not something else?" And she says, "Yeah, son, you know, as long as you love what you're doing, and you know, then that's all that matters." And that's always meant a lot to me. My mom recently passed away, so she got to see me open up a shop. She got to see me create 2 different instructional DVDs, and I'm coming out with my 3rd one, but she got to see her son be successful, and that, you know, that means a lot to me. So, but as far as, you know, taking care of my family, my wife doesn't have to work. I pretty much take care of all the bills, everything like that on what I do. So I love what I do, so that's the big picture. You know, you can make all the money in the world, but if you're not happy, then what's the point?
Making the cut, It's a huge opportunity.
Nobody throws a scholarship at you like this in the barber world, and for them, man, it's a big thing. It really touches me.
If you do feel like becoming a barber is something that's an interest to you, don't think about the money. Don't do it for the money. Don't do it for the fame. Don't do it for anything other than the fact that you have a true passion for what you do. You know, if you're passionate about what you do, then you're going to be successful.
There's a lot of garage barbers, and I was one of them at one point. And you think you're that barber, and you're just like the best barber in the world, but you have a long way to go.
Treat every client like it's your last client or your first. You know what I'm saying? Because realistically, at the end of the day, you need that client more than they need you. Making the cut. Let's do it.
The show is hosted by a Bay Area barber pioneer, Anton Cura.
I started 1998. I enrolled into the San Francisco Barber College. When I first enrolled, my wife was pregnant with our first daughter. That's what kind of pressed us, or pressed myself, to make a decision, a life decision, on if this was the right move. I failed my first exam, my first attempt. It was a setback, you know, for the time being. It taught me a lot. It brought me to where I am now. Being me, not being African American, there was questions of, am I good? Do I know how to cut hair? Do I know how to cut their texture of hair? Or do I know how to do a different texture of hair? And am I only good at cutting Asian hair? My greatest influence was probably my wife. Early on, it was dealing with the uncertainty of how we were gonna provide. She never looked past my idea, my passion of becoming a barber. I completed my course roughly a year. Then fortunately after that, I was able to be offered a position at Chicago 2 Barbershop on Divisadero and Golden Gate in San Francisco, where I spent 13 years. Then I pursued my own shop and opened Attention to Detail Barber Gallery. Early on was just figuring out the right situation in terms of how am I gonna build my business, you know, my personal business. How am I gonna build my volume, and how am I gonna market myself? And I think that's never changed, even being an owner now. Today's gonna be fun. Today we're giving 3 aspiring barbers a chance to, you know, change their life.
On the next episode of Making the Cut, you've met the contestants, you've met the judges. Now, the battle for the scholarship begins. Each contestant will give everything they've got to achieve their dream. The judges will give the advice and techniques they will need to move on in the competition. 3 will battle, 2 will advance, but only 1 will make the cut.